Hello, welcome back to Freely Being Me, and today I am doing a review on the Little Mermaid Live Action. I'm going to do a review on the Dolby experience and the 3D. Which one should you watch? Which one should you attend? I don't know. Let's just dive right into it. Okay, so I just want to give an overall opinion of my experience of the movie. I think it's a phenomenal movie, and it was just quite enchanting, enjoyable, a very exciting experience that I had. I mean, this is like a dream come true with seeing this live action of The Little Mermaid. I just really enjoy it. The cast, the music, the costumes, even the setting, just the location, all of it was just very magical, very beautiful and very real. And even like with the CGI, that it was just very. I thought I would never enjoy a movie with so much CGI in it, but it was very good, very good. That's my overall opinion. So let's dive into the first experience I had, because I went to the Dolby experience on the 24th of this month, which is May. And let me tell you, the Dolby, you definitely see a difference. They had this big old intro prior to the movie, talking about Dolby, how you see a definite crisp, more vibrant color, and also, like, it's the color is very much more vibrant. Like they show the black compared to the black standard, and the black standard the black in the Dolby experience. And I was like, wow, it's very much real and it's very much more vibrant. And the images, they were very detailed. There was a lot of depth to it, and they were very much lifelike. And what else? Oh yeah, okay. Oh, and another thing, the sound. Oh my gosh, the sound, it was so loud. The sound was so loud. I almost wanted to go and ask if they could go turn it down, but you just felt like you were definitely in the movie. And it kind of reminded me of 4D, because my seat would vibrate or move when there was like a loud sound or some kind of crashing noise. So I really enjoyed that. That was fun, because it felt like, oh wow, I was there. Then let's another thing, I just want to point out the audience comparison. Now, the audience in the 3D, mind you, this was on the 24th of May, so most people probably didn't know about the viewing on the 24th of May. And I'm sure there was like other people that had earlier viewings as well, but for this, I just wanted to talk about the demographic, like the people who attended the 3D. And this was at like 6 o'clock or 6:30. I don't remember what time it was. And this was on a Wednesday. And of course, this is in the evening. There was a lot of men trickling in, and they were like members of the LGBTQ community. I'm sorry, it's such a lot of initials. There were a lot of them coming, a lot of those people coming in from that group, and I saw some straight men, which was very interesting. And I can understand why you saw members of the LGBT community attend, because of the creative influence. And I believe the story was written by a man from the community as well. So you saw a lot of them. And also, my sister pointed out that Ursula, she is usually one of the villains that they do in drag. So that was very interesting to see that group of people there. And then the following group that was in big numbers was black women. We really represented, and I mean black straight women. We really represented the second biggest group in that audience. And then I didn't see, I don't know if I saw any straight white women. I think I might have saw one straight Hispanic woman. So I just wanted to point that out. That was just very interesting. It really, what you saw in the audience was present on the screen. So yeah, that was very interesting. So anywho, that was for the Dolby. And so now on to the 3D. Oh, I have my 3D glasses. Hold on. Now onto the 3D experience. And my friends, you are having a 3D experience as well. Just kidding. These are my 3D glasses that I got from the show last night. It was a 9:45 show, so I might be a little silly, extra silly to, with this video, because I'm literally operating only on like 3 hours of rest. And prior to that, I had like about maybe 5 hours of rest the night before. So please forgive me. Anywho, so on to the 3D experience. I honestly, I have like a little prejudice with 3D, because my initial experience with like the first time I've ever watched 3D, I wasn't too impressed. But this, it was different. So let's just go on with the 3D. I feel like it's been improved, the technology with it. The main subject jets out, and even other details that come, that are moving or that have a little animation to it, it jumps out of the screen, and it kind of pulls you into the scene of the movie. And you feel surrounded. You almost feel like you're eavesdropping as you're watching. There was like quite a few times where the cameraman was panning, and I felt like I was actually going up the stairs and watching Eric. I feel like you were like actually sitting there eavesdropping. Like there was a moment where Prince Eric was having a private conversation with Grimsby, and I felt like I was sitting there like looking behind the stairs and just listening to them. So I really liked that part of it. So you really felt like you were in the scene more so than the Dolby one, where the Dolby one, you felt like you can hear it and you can feel it and you see the detail, and it's just like you're seeing it up close, but you're not in it. You're kind of like separated from the scene, if that makes any sense. Whereas the 3D, you feel like you're actually in the movie itself. Now, one thing I did notice, the audio wasn't as good as Dolby. Of course, it was extremely loud with the Dolby movie. I don't know if that was due to the person who was operating the system, or is that's their setting, standard setting for the Dolby experience. And then another thing I noticed is that with the 3D, the image that's jetting out at you, that's surrounding you, it has a little bit more of a vibrant color than the background that is, that's remaining flat. But the color is not vibrant, and there is not as much detail as it was with the Dolby. So just to keep that in mind, that definitely did make a difference. And with the 3D experience, let's talk about the demographic and 3D experience. Now, mind you, this was at 9:45 yesterday. This was Thursday, 9:45 p.m. So basically, it's really, really late. Now, you still had members of the LGBTQ community that attended the filming. The showing wasn't what do you call it? People, I forgot about the showing, but oh my gosh, guys, I always forget words. But the people didn't really come out for this time frame. It was not like the Dolby experience. The theater was like pretty much 75% filled, 75% filled. Whereas with the 3D experience, it was like about, I want to say about, I don't even want to say 40, but I'll just say 40% filled. So you had, of course, the black women were the next group that came out. And then you saw some white women, and I noticed that they were very interested in Jonah King Har. So that's how you pronounce his name. Har, like bear? Har? I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I think he was the reason why that they showed up. So there was like 2 white females that showed up for that. So that was just very interesting. Again, the people that showed, they saw themselves on the screen or in the production. So that was fun. And and I want to point out that I really love how they showed this, I guess you could say, utopia of how if people really respected each other and love each other, and I don't mean love like, oh, I love you, but respect each other and value each other as human beings, how the world could be. So I just really love that about the movie. And it's, another thing I wanted to point out was that this movie is really representative of black women when we get into interracial relationships. It's still pretty taboo. We are like the least likely to be in interracial relationships. So it's just very interesting with this movie how you see this black mermaid that gets with this, this white prince. So it was just a very interesting, I feel like Ariel, this Little Mermaid movie really represents a lot of black women in so many ways, whether we're in interracial relationships or whether we're not. Really, it shows in a different light on how we experience the world, the challenges that we face. So I just really, really love this movie. Like I said, I always connect it with the story of Ariel. I watched Ariel, the animated version, just tons of times. I just love it. But I have to be honest, this live action, I'm going to be playing it more often than the animated one. And yes, I'm a grown adult that still watches The Little Mermaid, but I do it for fun. I'm just a big kid at heart. So yeah. And so let's talk about the storyline. The storyline, I love how it has its own spin to it. I mean, I know a lot of people were complaining about, oh, it's not going to be the same as the animated. Well, duh, dummy. It's not going to be. Which live action was ever the same as the animated? It's not going to be. There's things that you could do in the animation that you can't do in live action, and in live action you can do that you can't do in animated. And plus, this is like a whole other experience. I think they're trying to appeal to the nostalgia of it all, as well as kind of relating to the people who watch these movies as children and now as an adult, to how it relates to them in real, in their current life. So it's not going to be the same. And I want to point out that the movie was just very realistic. I just really, really love it. It was very authentic. Very pleasant. I just love it. I really, really, really loved it. So the storyline was very natural and very exciting. I felt like I was getting to know Ariel and Prince Eric more. I love how they got more into their life, and And you saw how they were very much alike in the animated version, but this live action version, they really took it to a whole nother level, and I just really enjoy it because they are so very different, but they're so much alike. And I mean, they did it in such a very tasteful, enjoyable, like, oh, give me more way. I just really enjoy it. And it's very obvious how they're a match. And there was some lines that Eric was saying, and he was just still in my heart, and I was just pretending to be Ariel. Just kidding. Not really. Okay, I was kidding. Anywho, but yeah. What else? There were. And the chemistry between them was awesome. Keep in mind, this is a movie that is geared towards children as well, so I'm gonna get into that a little later. But yeah, let's get into the production and the quality of the movie. I already touched upon that in a way already. The production of the movie was great. I mean, the costumes were beautiful. I love Ariel's dresses, even the Queen's costume. Prince Eric, everybody looked beautiful. I love their hair. You just felt like you were in a whole different world as you were watching the movie. And the set, oh my gosh, what do you call it? The set was beautiful. It just felt very authentic. Because people failed to realize that The Little Mermaid was based in Jamaica, and I always wondered why there was, a white mermaid instead of a black mermaid. I always wondered that as a child. So again, they really did take this realistic, making it more realistic to a whole nother level. And even like with the Queen, they took it to a whole nother level. Just very real, and it just anybody who watches this movie, they can relate in some way or another. So in multiple ways, like more than just one. So I just really love that part of how real it was. And then so I already talked about the setting. The castle was beautiful. It was this one setting that just was, oh my gosh, this one scene where they had, I don't even want to spoil it for you guys, but you got to check it out. You really have to check it out. If you don't, I feel sorry for you, okay? Let me think of some other things. Okay, and so now we're going to talk about the casting. The casting was phenomenal. I just have to give it out, I have to give them a round of applause, even with the director, and the creative director. All of them, they did phenomenal. This story would not have been portrayed the way it was on this, on the screen that I viewed, without their talents. One thing I have to point out, and I appreciate this, because it's always so annoying when you go to see something that's a remake or what have you, and it's not the original. Sometimes the actors will try to be like the first actor, and I think that's always a horrible approach when you're acting, because it just really takes away from the story. And now the person who's viewing the movie, they're kind of like, what is going on? Why are they so unnatural? This is not fun. This is not, you're not convincing me, not at all. But I love how all the actors, they played the role and they gave themselves. Now let's start with Holly. Holly is just, she's Ariel. She's just straight up Ariel. She's beautiful, sweet, intelligent, compassionate, adventurous, great singer, beautiful, did I mention? So she is like Ariel all the way. I just, I can't really separate the two. She's Ariel. Like, she's Ariel. The Mad Mad fans, they're going to be mad, but, she's Ariel, point blank, And then, Holly Bailey. I don't know if I did I say Ariel? You see, I get confused. Holly Bailey is Ariel, point blank, period, no questions. Now with Jonah King, he was, he's handsome. and a great actor. And so is Holly Bailey, a great actress. You know, you feel like you're getting to know the actors even in the movie itself. I really felt like they really gave themselves in the movie. But yeah, Jonah, he was, you know, he's very handsome. He has those cute dimples. He seems to have a very sweet spirit. You know, those beautiful blue eyes. And then, you know, he has that curly hair. I mean, just a beautiful man. And I was, you know, like I said, great actor. And I was so surprised that he knows how to sing. I don't know if he's an actual good singer. I was impressed with his singing. His singing actually matched Holly's. And I was kind of worried about, you know, like, yeah, I didn't even know he was going to sing, to be honest. So that was a pleasant surprise. But I learned that prior to watching the movie because of the soundtrack I had downloaded. And I was trying to just focus only on a part of Your World. But somehow one morning I woke up and his song came on. It was Uncharted Waters. And I was like, whoa, this is so much passion. You can hear the yearning, you know, because sometimes you see actors who are acting in a romantic role opposite of a person who's like black, and you can see that they're uncomfortable, it falls flat, there's a disconnect. But you know, no. And I was actually saying, man, I wish Holly Bailey and Jonah King could get married. But I know that's not possible because, you know, but anywho, so yeah, I really enjoyed that. He really played the part. You didn't feel any funniness, awkwardness. He was, you know, he played the part. So, because I was very concerned about that, because sometimes I watch movies and they put an interracial relationship in there, and the guy, he's just shit. I'm just gonna be honest. Sorry for cussing. It's like, why did they hire this guy? You should have gotten someone else, because he just ruined the whole experience. So anywho, so I really enjoyed that. And he gave himself. He wasn't trying to be like the voice actor who played Eric in the animated, because that would be such a horrible experience. Javier Bardem. Oh my goodness. You know, Javier, I love him. You know, he gets a little crazy. I mean, he's a very, very, very good actor. He has this very masculine presence, and it's a very powerful presence. Whatever role he plays, at least the movies that I've seen him in, I haven't seen too many of his movies, but so Pirates of the Caribbean, the Dead Man Tells No Tales, and I saw him in Skyfall. Let me tell you, I'm like, can you put him back on the screen? Because he just gets into the role. He knows crazy, okay? So I really enjoyed him. He definitely was the protective father. He had this very majestic, what do you call it? He was very kingy. He had this very powerful king presence. He was definitely King Triton all the way, from the looks down to the voice, even the hands. Like you don't want his hands to punch you, okay? Very, very strong, and that's what King Triton was in the animated version, and he definitely gave that for sure. And I know he got that role because he's been in some Disney movies, and he just embodies King Triton. What else can I say? And now, what's another person? Awkwafina. She is hilarious. I learned about her in, what's that one movie? I think I saw on Netflix. I can't really remember what movie was it, but that's when I first learned about her. So it was fairly recent that I learned about her. She is a funny woman. She cracks me up. She is very unique. She is her own brand. You cannot replicate her at all. And she really played Scuttle. I love how she played Scuttle. There was a scene, I just really love it. I play the song on the soundtrack, but like I said, I didn't listen to the soundtrack prior to watching the movie, the entire soundtrack. So when I saw her singing role, it was great. It was funny. It was very entertaining, and I just love how, you know, she's kind of goofy, quirky, kind of little personality, and she embodied. Scuttle. No offense to her. She's, you know, not an ugly woman or a bad person or whatever, but she has a very unique personality, and she brought it. And then David Diggs, that's his name? Yeah, David Diggs. He did a good job with Sebastian. I was very concerned because, again, the original actor in an animated movie, he did a really, really great job. I see him as Sebastian for the animated version, and he was very funny. And so was David. He did a really, really, really good job. I was happy that he didn't try to be like the original actor, because that would have been very, very annoying and taken away from the enjoyment of the movie. So I just love how he gave himself in the movie as well. And now onto Melissa McCarthy. She is, like, you know how she is. If you've ever seen her in her movies, she's always the kind of the ditzy person. She's funny. She's out there, and she doesn't always know what she's doing. She gets a little passionate, and she loses track of where she's at. And guess what? Melissa, she brought it into Ursula. I didn't know Melissa could sing. I mean, everyone is so talented in here. I didn't know they had so many talents. She, again, I am happy she did not do the original actress's version of Poor Unfortunate Soul. She did hers, and she was funny. Very, you know, she was kind of mischievous, evil, and, you know, all of that wrapped in one. And even, believe it or not, kind of sweet, you know, because, you know, Melissa, she is a sweet person. Her, you know, her characters, you know, I don't know her personally, but from what I see of her, she seems like a sweet person. So she brought that in that role as well. So I really, really, really enjoyed that. Again, guys, you have to support the movie. Go out there and watch it. I've watched it twice, and I'm going to definitely watch the 4D experience as well, and maybe I'll do a review on it. Okay, now, you guys, everything can't be perfect, right? There are some things that I must speak upon, if I'm going to be honest. And this is for the Mad fans. You know, the Mad fans, they were really upset. They didn't want the movie to come to be. They were just throwing all this kind of hate and just, you know, just being mad, as always. So, but, you know, I don't want the Glad fans to get mad at me, okay? But let's just be honest. There were some scenes that I wish there were a little bit more passion, but I understand that this movie is geared towards a younger audience as well, so you had to keep it PG-13. There was some scenes that I wish there was a little sand that was thrown in some people's eyes, and it didn't happen. A little more nastiness, a little bit more passion, but I understand that this is geared towards a younger audience as well, so you have to draw back on that kind of, I'm not gonna say rated R, but a little bit more intense scenes. Just like with Javier, I was looking forward to him going real crazy with some of the scenes, because, like, when I heard that he was going to be in the movie, I was thinking that he was going to really go crazy in some of the scenes that I've seen in the animated version. But again, you know, this is a children's movie, so they had to pull back on that. I wish they did an adult version, and I'm not saying adult version like X-rated or, you know, nudity or anything like that. I'm not saying that, so let's clear that. But I'm just saying, as far as with some of the scenes, I can tell they kept it PG-13. But yeah. Anything else I want to say? But, you know, still, that did not take away from the quality of the movie, the acting, the story from being, you know, enjoyable and entertaining. It's still a very good movie. I would like again. I'll say again. Please go watch it and support it because a lot of love and passion was put into it. And like again, everyone was pretty much. I'm not gonna say anything else, but I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be quiet because I don't want to spoil it for you guys because I can go on and on and on. I might do a video with maybe a live video with people who've already seen the movie, and maybe we can have a conversation about what we could have seen. I mean, what we saw and what was our opinion about it, or what I don't know. Well, I'll see because I don't know if anyone will attend, but we shall see. Okay, so now for my overall opinion about the movie. How would I rate this movie? This movie is filled with so much passion. The images were very, very breathtaking. It keeps you wondering what's going to happen next. It keeps you wanting more and more. And actually, when I went to the theater, when I was watching watching it during the Dolby experience for the first time, I wanted to start over again and watch it again. So if I had to rate the movie out of a 10, I would give it 100. It was a very, very, very good movie, and I'm looking forward to buying the DVD and also having it on my, having a digital format so I can just watch it wherever. I think it was just a very, very good movie. Again, watch it. If you don't watch it, I don't know what to say. Now, as far as watching 3D or Dolby, in my personal opinion, I liked both of them. I wanted to experience the two different experiences. They're totally different. And like I said, with the 3D, you feel more like you're in the movie, physically in, like you're actually there looking, but the audio is not as good and the image is not as crisp, if that makes any sense, as Dolby. Dolby had a very, very great visual. Is that what you say? Visual? I don't know what you call it. It was a very good image quality on the screen, and the audio was very, very good. You felt like you were actually there. So it kind of appealed to different senses. If it appealed, the Dolby appealed to my hearing and my visual, and even with my physical, like with the rumbling of the seat, because at first I thought, I was like, is this a 4D experience? I was looking for the water to splash, but it wasn't like a 4D, but it was very close. It had some like characteristics of a 4D, which I'm definitely going to check out the 4D. So this is a person that saw the 3D and the Dolby, and yes, I am going to see the 4D. It's like they're all different experiences. So which one would I pick? I can't really say, but if I had to say that, if someone said you can only watch it with one experience, I will say that I will go with the Dolby experience, because the Dolby experience, it was my first experience watching the Little Mermaid Live Action, and like I said, the images, they were just so real. This was so real. It's too bad that you couldn't combine the 3D and the Dolby experience and the 4D, and boy, I felt like you were there. But anywho, I could just go on and on. You guys, I want to show you some things that I saw. I'm probably going to put this throughout my movie, because my review. I had this like experience as soon as I woke up. Not as soon as I woke up, but when I got onto the train platform, I had this whole experience with the violin. I was like, oh my gosh, is my Prince Eric coming up? And then I was like walking, and I saw these birds that went into the trees, and they sounded like scuttle, and like they were making the same calling noise, and I don't want to say too much more. So, and then I was looking at the fountain, and I was like, oh wow, oh, there's mermaids in this fountain. There usually are mermaids in the fountain, but this fountain that I walked past like 100 billion times, I never really, looked at the sculptures. I was like, they're actually mermaids. I always saw the birds, but so anyway, I'm gonna shut that. It was like a pleasant experience that I was having on the way to this spot, and this is the spot, you guys. And this is the rock. This is the rock that Ariel was sitting on. You guys, I'm actually sitting on some rocks along the lake. So, but yeah, so anywho, I don't know when, I don't know what, how, but I know something's starting right now. Watching, you'll see. Someday I'll be part of your world. Anywho, you guys, I just love it. Anywho, just go watch the movie. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Yeah. And come back for some more. Ta-ta for now.